Now then people, and today we have a review of the world's smallest Atari 2600 Tiny Arcade. This includes 9 Atari games, including the classic Pac-Man from the Atari 2600 itself, and a series of other games which aren't the original Atari 2600 versions and are more like, I would say, modified arcade versions of the Atari games. So let's open this up and see what it's got. And here we have it, guys. As you can see, it's modelled after an old retro TV, and then we have the Atari 2600 console here, which the red button on the top is the reset button, and we have the tiny little joystick. So hopefully that screen's positioned good enough for you to see. It's a tiny screen, so it's extremely hard to get the camera to focus on it, but let's start with what's first and we'll go with Pac-Man. And here we go. Yep, it is the terrible Atari 2600 version. There's not a lot more you can say about it than that, to be fair. It's Pac-Man, a quite basic Pac-Man. Yeah, but it seems to work well. If you can cope with the tiny little screen, and I keep knocking the screen because of how awkward it is to film, and then I've died. So we'll see what's next. We'll go with Asteroids. And I am absolutely terrible at this game. As you can see, it's not the Atari version, it's more like the arcade version, which is weird, because normally when you buy these mini console things and they say it's the arcade version, you normally get the Atari 2600 versions. And well, there we go, that's Asteroids. Not a lot more I can say about that. And here we go with Breakout. And I know a lot of the old school gamers will say that you can't play games like this without a paddle, but I find that to be absolutely rubbish, to be fair. I don't understand why the paddle would be as better than the joystick when they both do the same thing. I imagine it's quite a novelty having the spinny paddle things, but you know, it's not a necessity, I don't think. But yeah, that's enough of that. Can't really play this until I clear it. Centipede, I have no idea how this is going to work on a screen this small. This is the most awkward one to control, to be fair. It doesn't help that I can't really see what I am looking through the phone screen, but well, it's Centipede. I'm not very good at it. And yeah, this is combat. This is normally played by 2 players, but I believe for this little device they've put a computer controlled enemy in it. As you can see, you're just driving your pixel tank around. You gotta kill the other player. And I guess you get the highest score. And, well, I suppose that's that, to be fair. But yeah, a good little inclusion, putting the computer controlled enemy in there. Here we go with Millipede, which I believe is a sequel to Centipede, so yeah. And I'm just as bad at this one as I was at Centipede. But as you can see, it works fine. It's just really awkward to see looking through the camera. But another good game. And here we have one of my favourites, Missile Command, which for some reason I have a soft spot for. And this is more like the arcade version than it is the Atari 2600 version. But it's really good. Especially on this little cheap device. I mean, this thing cost me £20 and I would say it's worth it. Just to have a tiny little game system on your shelf, which actually plays games. I'm quite impressed with it. I mean, I wouldn't recommend playing games on it all the time. Just something to show your friends or whatever when they come round. There's Missile Command. Obviously we've got Pong, which is just Pong. You'll have played a version of this somewhere, probably in another game, as it crops up absolutely everywhere. But I would say this again is more like the arcade version of Pong than the Atari 2600 version. Or at least it's sort of a mix between the two. There you go. Pong. And here we have Tempest, and this is one where I think you do need the paddle to play it better than the joystick. The whole game, I believe, was designed to play with the paddle, and I just find it too fast to work with the joystick. But obviously, this is a good version of Tempest. It's just a shame I can't play it with a stick. And here we go, the final game, which is Warlords, a favourite of a lot of the Atari players. And this is quite difficult to play with a stick, especially because it's so small. It's difficult, and I am terrible at this game, but it is a fun game. It would be more fun with your friends, obviously, but for, like I said, what the device is, a little mini Atari with a TV, it's great. It's a good version of it to have, and I've got to admit, I'm impressed with this device. It's a nice little device. If you can find it for cheap, I'd buy it, but I wouldn't pay any more than the £20 that it cost me. Any more, I think, would be a bit of a rip-off for what is obviously a novelty little toy. But yeah, it's great. And that ends the review, so thanks very much for listening, guys.